Now, going back to our next topic here. This one, this one hits a little close to home. Dead or Alive 6 franchise rot enablers. Now, this one is this one is this one's very frustrating because there was a time where I could say Dimmadome. Hello, Cross. Welcome to the stream. Dimsdale Dimmadome. But this is Dead or Alive was one of those games where I can sincerely say at one point in my life, I genuinely loved this franchise. Like it took up a significant portion of me emotionally because of how much I enjoyed this game and what it did for me growing up. And you can imagine that it hurt a great deal when things started happening. Like this is one of the few times where when I was young, change for me was just it was difficult because I didn't understand a lot back then. Back when I agree, Gash, it peaked with 4. But when things started changing, I started learning information about the game outside of just the game. Dead or Alive was one of the few games where I was so into it. I went out looking for information that wasn't even just game related. I wanted to know who made it. I wanted to know who was responsible for it. I liked it that much. Now, years have passed. Times have changed. Things aren't the same like they used to. And change is hard. It's really hard. But there was a significant fall from grace since Itagaki's departure of the Dead or Alive franchise. But there was hope. There was a point in time where there could have been a legitimately genuine conversation about this franchise could bounce back. It could forge its own path without Itagaki. Tomonobu Itagaki is the series creator, director. Because of him, Dead or Alive exists. Now, there's a few different things that I'm going to cover when it comes to Dead or Alive, but the main point of this segment in this live stream is to address what I think is responsible for the series failure and why it continues to fail and why I believe it will fail with their next major project, Dead or Alive 7, and the reasons why. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's not who you think, or maybe it is. So the thing about Dead or Alive, I'm not going to go over the whole history shit. That's whatever. You can find that on YouTube. But the issue here is Dead or Alive 6 and its continuous downturn, series rot. And I'm going to show you a trailer, like for Dead or Alive 5, because Dead or Alive 5 was the game where I was extremely mixed on because I wasn't sure. I mean, at first, when it was first announced, I was excited because wow, Dead or Alive is back. I just want Dead or Alive. Kind of like where a lot of these modern DOA fans are now. That's where I was around 2011, 2012 with the announcement of DOA 5. But I was more excited that it just existed than I was about Itagaki being involved because, the time between Dead or Alive 4 and 5 was so vast. It gave me, it paralyzed me. I just wanted it that bad. Dinosaur Apist. What's going on, man? Welcome to the stream. But we're going over DOA right now. But I'm going to show you guys the trailer for Dead or Alive 5. And I'm going to walk you through how I received it and where it's kind of going from there. Let me see here. Let's do this. Share screen. Let's do window. I forgot this is a. Okay. This is a pre-alpha version of Dead or Alive 5. Yeah, long day, fellas. The return is here. Yeah, man. Long day at work. I feel you. Okay. Okay, so you have to understand the jubilation I felt because that was like the final pre-release teaser that they showed. At first, it stopped when Hayabusa was hanging off the ledge. You got to understand the bar was set high with DOA 4, and I was kind of skeptical about whether or not they could top that. And Dead or Alive 5, they objectively topped it in terms of scale, scope, and entertainment value of what Dead or Alive is as a franchise compared to other fighting games. Ben Spastic, welcome. Looks like it was trying to ape 4. It did. It aped 4 in all the best possible ways because Dead or Alive as a fighting game is all about, it's like the WWE of fighting games, where something like Tekken is more grounded in, let's say, the nuance of technical fighting, how Virtual Fighter is extremely, intimate and, all this stuff. Like those are like serious fighting. We take this sport seriously. Whereas Dead or Alive was just like, look, I just want to see a motherfucker fly off the side of a building. And so they took that and they ramped it up to 11. And that's what made it so good. So when I saw that for the first time after years of radio silence and hearing about the departure of Edegaki at the time from Team Ninja and Tecmo, seeing that, it gave me hope. And DOA is fast and bombastic, just a bit over the top. DOA 5 was lethargic by comparison. I'd say it's arguable because a lot of things that Dead or Alive 5 did were based off of 4, but it was more centralized. My biggest issue with 5, outside of the the bombastic nature, was kind of what they did to the characters. All the characters got nerfed, their personality. Anyway, but that's beside the point. Just as far as like it being a fighting game, it achieved everything it set out to do, more or less. Now, I want to judge 6 based off of 5 and not the previous Dead or Alive games because everybody, people get a little weird when it's like, blah, 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 blah. You're an Edegaki loyalist. I am. But if we're going to be fair, let's take 5 and 6, as both of these games were made by the current iteration of Koei Tecmo. And when you compare the two, I'm not going to bother with a trailer for 6. Just take my word for it, or look into it yourself. The downturn in quality, the shift between 5 and 6 is deafening. And this is where my biggest problem, because I'm at the point where I've already like crossed the Rubicon. Tecmo is dead to me. They're a shit company. They're full of shit. They're lying, cheating, manipulative bastards who don't give a shit about Edegaki or his work. As far as I'm concerned, everybody involved, not everybody. Let me slow down, bring it back. The higher ups involved with Tecmo, they all suck. They're genuine pieces of trash who can't make a game to save their life. They can make some stuff, but when just focusing on DOA and Ninja Gaiden, absolute ass. They can't do it. But as much as I dislike Tecmo, modern Tecmo, the only group of people that is somehow worse is the modern DOA fans. Here's the problem. Dead or Alive 6, in every way, shape, and form, is a complete step down, a downgrade across the board compared to 5, another game that this same studio created. 5, 6. We're not gonna hit them with the Edagaki stuff because that's too easy. You know, there's so much you could say about the previous DOA games that's better, and a lot of people, well, people who are serious about DOA understand this. But for the new fans, the normies who just got here with 6 and 5, even they should be able to see the clear downturn of quality between 5 and 6. And it's really frustrating because if we're looking at how games scale upwards, let's say you're a fan of Dead or Alive 2, where most people got in. From 2 to 3, you were like, oh, wow, this game is better. From 3 to Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate, wow, this game looks even better. It looks better. It plays better. Everything about the game you can think about, there is a clear and obvious trend upwards in terms of quality and value. Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate to 4. Holy shit. Once again, upturn. It keeps getting better. It doesn't get worse. There are things you can nitpick here and there, but the quality of the core game is objectively better than the last game. Dead or Alive 4 to 5. We're going to be fair. Stop it here. We're starting over. Just like how we started with 2 to 3, now we're going from 5. We're starting from 5. Dead or Alive 5 to Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate. Trending upwards. Value proposition is better. Game looks better. The content is better. There was so much more added in Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate that it was just like, yo, is it possible that these guys can, they're cooking here? Catching up on the Steam Machine reveal section. Yeah, honestly, given how terrible pricing is, hardware really isn't bad. Yeah, dead ass saves me hundreds of hours of time of year, especially since my time is limited. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, exactly. And that stuff is just kind of going back to that. I didn't mean to do that, but yeah. But when it comes to that's why, like, when you're using this baseline to kind of justify your faith or interest in something, it has to be based off of something that they have given you. It's objective. Why do you like this? Why do you like Dead or Alive 5? I like Dead or Alive 5. When Ultimate came out, I'm going to show y'all the trailer for that next, too. The Dead or Alive segment, this is a little bit more personal, guys. Sorry, I know this is a lot of stuff we're talking about, but the main topics we're going over, some of these are just like, but I'm gonna show you the Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate trailer, because Dead or Alive 5, the base game, was pretty middling overall. There's a lot of stuff missing, a lot of characters, cut content, blah blah blah. But we kind of excuse some of that away because it's been so long, the interest in all the fucking shit, right? So that aside, we'll let that slide. Where is that? The good trailer. I think this one's it. Let me check it just to make sure. Okay, so this is the Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate trailer, and the Ultimate added a lot more content.
Peggy 16.
So 5 to 5 Ultimate.
All right, let's get this over with.
Lauren, are you watching?
I'm ready, Master Lee.
better. Pathetic.
Really? Absolutely awful. Be gone!
It is time.
This fight is mine.
Yes.
Okay. Now, are you the guy that streams with Hypnotic? Nope. I don't even know who that is. I'm just a regular black guy with the afro. But no, I don't know who that is. But okay, so from 5 to Ultimate. Ultimate, as you can see there, was like truly, genuinely Ultimate. There was a lot of new stuff added between the first game and then the refresh that blew my mind. Even though I wasn't okay with the format, but that was kind of the trend that fighting games specifically were going towards, re-releasing another version, getting updates and all that stuff. Fair enough. I acquiesced to it. I wasn't a big fan, but whatever, But when you look at the value proposition between those two games, it's a no-brainer. Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate was genuinely ultimate in every name of the word, in every possible way you could think of. Here's the problem. That was the moment where Koei Tecmo was really starting to convince me that it was possible for them to not only exceed Edegaki in some form, or not exceed, but the potential for them to exceed him was there. You could see it. It was right in front of me, and I was like, okay, if this is how we're going to go, I'm all in. I'm cashing in. Points to Tecmo, you got me. You sold me on the idea. Now, there was another version that came after. It was a last round. It wasn't that big of it was more of just an update to the Ultimate. And if I remember correctly, you didn't have to buy it if you already had Ultimate. It just updated the game. You could buy last round by itself if you never bought DOA. But if you played or had Ultimate, it just updated the game to the latest version. It added a few characters and balance changes, whatever. So they ultimately kind of had, this was their crowning jewel to prove to the naysayers like myself at the time, was like, hey, Dead or Alive is in good hands. We got it. And any problems we have, we'll work it out as we figure things out as we move on. Okay, time passes over time. And with how successful 5 was, because 5 was doing really well. It was a resurgence of interest into the game. Shit tons of DLC, which, that's another thing, but it showed genuine interest in the game. The Fall Classic, the DOA carried the Fall Classic. That was a tournament that was running along for a while, and it was exclusively like DOA centered. Okay, you would think coming in off of that high, you're like, all right, hey, we're good. The next game is going to be baller. If this is what we're getting now, it's only up from here. No. I'll spare you the details, but let's just say the writing was on the wall with Dead or Alive 6. And people like myself and a good friend of mine, Cross, this is during a time where you're starting to see a lot of things in the gaming industry change for the worse. And me and Cross, we were eagle-eyed with all that shit because it was like, man, what's happening in the game? Blah, 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 blah. We saw all of this shit happening. And as soon as we saw it with Dead or Alive, I'm like, it's over. because people were moving around, positions of management were changing, and then the DLC practices. People complain about DOA 5's DLC, but that mostly came in the form of costumes. Dead or Alive 6 DLC, pay $1 to change the character's hair color every time. So if you bought a hair color, you didn't keep it. Let's say you bought a red hair color because you want Ayane to be a redhead. Cost you $1. Oh, you want to change it to blue? That also costs $1 to change it to blue. But you don't keep red. If you want to change it back to red, that's going to cost you another $1. Again, this stuff is important. A lot of people now conveniently forget, like the modern gamers, like the memory, it almost doesn't exist. People who care about the specific things that is bad, we keep track of that, but the average person, completely oblivious, no idea. So, Dead or Alive 6 was a bad product. It was horrible. Yeah, Gash is making Capcom blush. Capcom was like the poster child for fucked up DLC for that entire console generation. And so when Dead or Alive came out, it was like, yo, bro, what is this? But, So writing was on the wall, like I said. When it comes to, Dead or Alive 6 was received very poorly, failed. That game was a failure. Tecmo dropped the support for the game after about a year. It was so bad. Fast forward 7 years. 7 years. You want to know what came out recently, like within the last month? Dead or Alive 6 Last Round. That's interesting. 7 years of radio silence, and all of a sudden we're refreshing Dead or Alive 6? Okay. What did they add? What do you think they added? We just saw from Dead or Alive 5 to Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate how expansive just the trailer alone showed you, like, hey, this is Ultimate means something. All right? If we're going to sell you the same game again, we need to sweeten the pot a little bit. Hey, we weren't sure this franchise was going to even exist, so we gave it a shot, and you guys placed your faith in us. We're returning that in kind by giving you more of what you want. You think that same logic held up for Dead or Alive 6? No. Dead or Alive 6 Last Round is Dead or Alive 6. Same exact game. You want to know what they added, though? They added a brand new lighting system. They turned the lights on. And the promise for more DLC. What kind of DLC? Costumes. Oh, and a character. This was after they announced Dead or Alive 7, by the way. Here's the thing that frustrates me the most. Because remember, me and my friend, we saw this coming a mile away. Dead or Alive 6 is the only Dead or Alive game I did not purchase. The only one. And that was a big deal for me because I was like, bro, oh yeah, I forgot the photo mode. That was a big deal for me because I was committed to DOA. I bought every game. I bought Dead or Alive 5 4 times. I had it on the 5 times. Yeah, I bought it 5 times. I bought it once on the PS3, once on the 360. I bought the ultimate versions for both again. When I was a good little boy. And I bought Dead or Alive 5 Last Round again on PC. I bought that game. No, I bought it 6 times because I had a Vita at the time. I bought it on the Vita. I bought Dead or Alive 5 6 times because I just want, like, more, please. Yeah, I'm good. I'm happy customer. I am satisfied with what you're giving me. And if buying this game tells you that I want more of this, so be it. You got me. Dead or Alive 6 was the only game I didn't play. Not play it. It's the only game I didn't buy. I never purchased it. And that was significant for me because you could tell at the back of my head, I was trying everything I could possibly think of, MK Ultra, whatever you want to, whatever like CIA, FBI, PSYOP, mind device. I thought of everything to justify buying that game, but I just couldn't do it because everything I saw led to ruin. It's like this isn't Tecmo anymore. The Tecmo that built Dead or Alive 5 has left the building. They're gone. And Edegaki's already gone. So all of those negative emotions and feelings came back, and it the truth was just that I can't support this company anymore. They are anti common sense. But okay, that's I didn't mean to go off on a tangent whining about Tecmo. This is about the new DOA fan base. So Dead or Alive 5, Dead or Alive 6 last round came out. Not an update, not an upgrade, not even a side grade. Literally a downgrade. Same bugs from the last game are in there. They changed the files to where we're making it, modding it is more difficult. Interesting. And cost $40. You want to know what DOA fans were doing? Leading up to the releases, because when they announced it, everybody colored this idea in their mind that they were fixing Dead or Alive 6. Oh man, what if they add rollback? What if they increase whatever? What if they fix the game? They make the game better. Everybody started coming up with all these thoughts and what they thought what the common sense thing Tecmo would do. Because I'm like, hey, Dead or Alive 6 was not that well received. Surely if they're going to release it again, they're going to address some of the problems it had on its original release. After all, it's called Last Round. Last time I checked, Last Round meant something. It meant a value add, just like the last game. Okay? But that didn't happen. You have people on the internet doing all types of silly shit, trying to hype this game up because they want DOA to be a serious contender in the FGC fucking bullshit Evo, what do you call that shit? Esports arena, which is part of the reason why it sucked, but that's a different conversation. Dead or Alive was its own thing. So you have people hyping it up. Everybody wanted to be an ambassador to Tecmo so they could get early copies of Dead or Alive 6 so they can kickstart their YouTube career talking about a game they love. Didn't happen. And the funniest thing, me and my friend, we were shitting on DOA 6 that entire time because once again, the wall had all of the writing. All of it. You'd have to be like, even it was even on the wall in Braille. So if you were blind, you could still see what was happening. And these people just refused, outright refused. And this is where we get to DOA 6 franchise rot enablers. Dead or Alive doesn't have fans anymore. Modern DOA has shills and idiots supporting this game. They will tell themselves any and everything to justify propping this bullshit up after Tecmo has repeatedly shat on them. It's like, and it's not even just Dead or Alive they messed this up with. Ninja Gaiden, another property from Edegaki that they destroyed. All these horrible decisions, all these stupid practices, killing online for Dead or Alive 5 on the PC, literally can't play it online, unplayable, making it impossible to play previous versions of the game because they want to sell you this new one. And they didn't even give enough of a shit to like properly, they didn't even do anything with it. We have a photo mode and a lighting system. $40, please, for the same game that failed 7 years ago. Also, it plays worse. And in some places looks worse. Paying $40 for a downgrade. So when it comes to this, I made a video a while ago talking about standards and expectations. Those don't exist in Dead or Alive anymore. Dead or Alive is gone. I have to find, I don't have to, like, I found solace in the genuine DOA fan base, the real one, the people who go out of their way to make sure the previous DOA games are accessible in some capacity. Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate Online. Some guy, out of the goodness of his heart and time, found a way to bring back a canceled project that was Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate Online. I'm still trying to figure out how to get it to work properly, but that's playable. I could play that with my friend. Fightcade, Dead or Alive 2 for the Dreamcast, playable online with people, wherever. And it's like Tecmo couldn't even be bothered. I'm hoping that at some point somebody figures out how to get the online for Dead or Alive 5 last round playable for PC. Because right now the only way to play that is on console, but who the fuck about to play online? Anyway. So the genuine interest of people who care about DOA, that community is going above and beyond to make older versions of Dead or Alive accessible and playable. That's where the value is. Tecmo as a company, gone, dead. Yet these people, these fans, go out of their way to justify all of the horrible shit. They're enablers. You want to know why Dead or Alive 7 will fail? It's because people don't understand what it means to have standards. The modern DOA fan base for Dead or Alive 6, no standards. As long as a piece of shit exists with the words Dead or Alive written on it, they'll buy it. But they don't understand that doing that confirms the death of the franchise. It's a rotting corpse. If the best you can expect from Tecmo and this franchise is a remake of their worst version of the game with no perceivable upgrades, enhancements, value add, nothing, you'll take anything. I don't blame Tecmo. Tecmo is now GOAT status. I'll always hate them, but when it comes to these people, please Tecmo more. Shit on this game, shit on these idiots even more. Don't worry. They'll find a way to make it seem like you are doing right by them. I don't see Tecmo like fucking this game up because that's money on the table. And it's like when people like me start talking about it, I get labeled a piece of shit, right? Because I was stupid enough to pay attention to everything that's been happening. You know, people, when gamers have this weird association to like, hey, as long as we support and buy it, that's ultimately that's best for it. I just want it to exist. You know, I don't. I would be happy if Dead or Alive ceased to exist. What we have is enough. Because believing that this current iteration of Tecmo is capable, having faith that they're capable of doing right by you when they have proven time after time over the course of going on 10 years that they are not only unwilling, they just don't care. These people care about a version of the game that they'll never get. Dead or Alive 6, somebody made a mod for that game that fixed a lot of the issues that people had with it, making it half decent. I almost got the game because of that. Decided not to, thankfully. But ultimately, I'm like, look, those people, they're the future of the franchise. Random motherfuckers in their basement with time on their hands to bring back a dead version of the game that was never released, or fix the piece of shit, now slightly polishing the turd to make it at least not stink when you're playing it. At the very least, those are real, genuine fans who try, not people who go out of their way to just assume like blind faith. It kills me. Because it's like, this is objective realities right here in front of you, showing that at the very least, Tecmo is just not interested. And like I said, they've been doing this for more than Dead or Alive. Ninja Gaiden 2, Black. See, back when Tecmo was a respectable company, mostly being run by a real G who knew what he wanted, Edegaki, when you re-released the game and it had a name behind it, that the value add came standard. Ninja Gaiden 1, Ninja Gaiden Black. Ninja Gaiden Black, just like from Dead or Alive 5 to Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate, a clear and concise value add. You could not see it. So anyone who has an understanding of what Ninja Gaiden is, when you hear Black, the assumption is that, hey, this is going to be enhanced in ways, there's going to be more content, more value to justify me buying the same game twice. What was Ninja Gaiden Black 2? Ninja Gaiden 2 Black? An Unreal reskin. It can't get any more modern than that. Did they add anything? No. They just filtered the game through an Unreal filter, which makes it play worse because Unreal Engine is a piece of shit when it comes to game optimization. Very few games can nail that to where the game looks and plays well. Normally comes several months of patches after the fact, completely destroying the artistic value that came with the original Ninja Gaiden aesthetic. And people bought that too. So it's like, okay, Dead or Alive Ninja Gaiden fans, no standards. They don't care. As long as something exists and the words Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive are on it, they'll buy it. No questions asked. And so that's why I call these people franchise rot enablers. When the people responsible for the game genuinely just don't give a fuck. Or let's say it's not that. It's not that they don't care. They're just all incompetent. It's one or the other. They're either stupid or evil. And fans don't see it. I guess I'm picking the better. I'm just glad it still exists. It's like, bro, the last time I thought that way, I was like in my early 20s. So you can be forgiven if your first game was Dead or Alive 5, where you just don't have a basis of understanding. And I'm trying to be lenient there because even with 5, it's like, okay, if you like 5, and then you like 5 Ultimate, and then you like 5 Last Round, again, the curvature of value increases. Where is that expectation for 6? How could you justify buying 6 again after 7 years? For 7 years, they didn't do shit. It's like, anyway. So, faith in failure. When it comes to Dead or Alive or Tecmo or whatever, the ship is sailed on them. They're a terrible company. They're no good at what they do. But what's even worse than that, if that's possible, is the enablers. Dead or Alive 7. It's like I left a comment on one of these YouTubers videos where I'm like, look, dude, I weep for your soul in the future when Dead or Alive 7 comes out, because just walking right into a wood chipper. And it's like, dude, what has Dead or Alive done since Dead or Alive 6? What have they done to earn your trust, to earn your faith? What have they done? And from where I'm sitting, all they have been doing is shitting on us. They've been shitting on me. They've been shitting on you. It's like, okay. It's just been trash. The gradual decline of a series' relevance, value, and appeal, influence. Can't wait to buy the next game. If you say so, bro. You know, at the end of it all, I could always be wrong. I do not believe I am, but I could be wrong. Because one thing that they'll say is like, oh, what if it's good? Which is such a stupid statement, by the way. What if it's bad? Jackass. You know, both of these are non-statements. What if? What if? What if? Okay, what if the world explodes tomorrow and nobody gets to play the game? I don't see you considering that angle. Whatever. Fucking ridiculous. But that's Dead or Alive 6. But whatever. Okay, moving on. Jesus Christ. On to more positive things. Marvel Rivals Season 9. this is a game I've been putting a hell of a lot of time into. I haven't really been streaming it as much, but I'm about it, according to Steam, 830 hours. Playing the game a lot. The latest update adds quite a few things. It's an overhaul to the team-based system. Hold on, let me catch up on some of these chats. I'm sorry, you guys. Addicts just justifying their addiction. Yeah, and the sad thing is, I can relate to some degree, but it's like, at some point you have to grow up, man. There's got to be like, at some point you have to see what's happening in front of you. Like, I understand because, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Halo raped, Call of Duty raped, Spyro raped, then raped, now to be raped again. Metroid Prime unfathomably raped to a new degree previously not thought even comprehensible, let alone possible. Like I said, all that what you just said is called writing on the wall, and only people who give a shit genuinely care to receive this. Yes, it's not fun. I don't like it. It doesn't make me feel good, but the truth is the truth. Do you want to know at the very least, or do you want to just blindly walk in hoping for the best? Why hope and cope when you can see it right here? It's only after my purchase now I can justify posting bullshit on the internet, talking about how upset I am. I tell you, bro. Boy, and it's only because Dead or Alive was that game for me. Dead or Alive was that game. There's a lot of games I've played, but the one like the I walked onto the sword back then because it wasn't a threat back then. Dead or Alive was just that good. There was a lot of games like that. And to see that happen and for people to just, all right, I said I was done. All right, I can relate to, yep, you do gotta grow up. Yeah, just look at it for what it is. Like I said, it's not pleasant. I know people want to avoid feeling like shit. I get it. However, not to your detriment, because all it's gonna do is hurt you in the end.